Mr. Chen, if I could ask, if people look at the operations report, for example, on pages 17 and 15, there's reference to fuel. So this is the discussion we're having. Is something covered in that portion of the rate that's the power or fuel supply, or is it that portion of the rate that's everything else that's in the delivery? And if you look at that, we have, for our purposes of conversation, described the renewable and efficiency programs as a fuel, because it's a logical way of sort of looking at it. There are those who would argue, and have argued at meetings that I've listened in on, that in fact it should be in that portion of the bill. But I want to get some clarification for the public so we understand what we're talking about with the rate freeze. We have a 10-year plan for efficiency Long Island that shows a commitment that many people out there are familiar with, whether it's someone that's a solar installer or whether it's someone that's part of the Green Building Council and is doing building work and wants to be able to take advantage of the incentives that LIPA has, that LIPA offers. And yet that 10-year plan and those, they're not commitments in a formal sense because it's just a 10-year plan, but every year we make decisions about this funding. And we also have a rider on our bill, which makes the ELI program separate. But as I understand this rate freeze, which I'm not calling it a so-called freeze, but frankly, you know, that's what it is. It's not a real freeze, as I think we've just explained here. It's not in the law. It only covers less than half the bill, and it's actually not necessary based on what's happened in LIPA's 15-year history. But putting all that aside, it's also potentially going to cut the ELI program. It's certainly going to arrest the growth in the program and probably cut the program. And yet, when you look at page 17, it shows you that efficiency is our best investment. But am I right in understanding that if we freeze the delivery charge, that means we're also freezing, and then in order to make up for other growth like storms, the discretionary items are basically ELI and storm hardening. I mean, what else are we going to cut to make up those kinds of numbers?
Well, the short answer to your question is yes, the ELI tariff would fall under the freeze portion of the proposal.
Trustee Greenfield, and then I'm going to move on to the committee reports. The last question.
For our COO, and hearing from my fellow trustee and also hearing from members of the public since I became a trustee, there's a lot of confusion on our bills. Could we develop a simple envelope stuffer that explains to people with maybe pie charts what goes into your bill, how's it arrived at, what portion is under our control, what is fuel, what portion is external factors. And I think that would go a long way in communicating to the public. Some simple, if it's possible, and with all the bright minds we have here on staff, if we could develop an envelope stuffer.
I think we'll make efforts in that direction in connection with any change, any other rate changes we'll make, and try to emphasize customer understanding as part of this effort.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we do have some stuffers that go